This is a Barita podcast, which is a medium for information purposes only. This podcast is not a recommendation to buy or sell any securities. This isn't a research report, nor intended to serve as a basis for making any investment decisions. Contact a licensed investment advisor before making any financial decisions. Let's get into the Barita podcast.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Barita podcast. Remember, you can get past episodes at barita.com/podcast. All right, so very happy to be with the Massy team today. 100 years of Massy. All right, that's a big deal.
It is.
So let's just start off. We can start from the left. Can you guys just introduce yourselves? Yeah.
Wendy, Kerry, Senior Vice President, Corporate Governance and Corporate Secretary of the Massey Group.
Gervase Warner, President and Group CEO.
Vaughn Martin, Interim Group CFO and Executive Chairman, Gas Products Portfolio.
Okay. All right, guys. Welcome again. Thanks very much for coming. All right. So let's start off just talking about what is Massy, right? In my mind, I understand it to be an investment holding company, global in scope and ambition, with three main portfolios, right?
You have it. That's it. You have it.
All right, so we can start there. So it's integrated retail, it's gas products, it's motors and machines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So starting with integrated retail, what is that business? Are you guys operating supermarkets? Are you operating general merchandise? Explain it.
I think we should switch sides.
No, just asking.
So the integrated retail portfolio is the group of companies that we have in the retail supermarket space and food and pharmaceutical distribution. In Guyana, we have both the food and pharmaceutical distribution and now Massey stores. In Trinidad, we have both Massey stores and Massey distribution. Barbados as well, the combination. In St. Lucia, we have Massey stores primarily, and we just started a Massey distribution in St. Lucia. And St. Vincent, we have Massey stores. Here in Jamaica, we only have Massey Distribution Jamaica Limited. We don't have Massey stores because we sold Hilo to Grace many years ago. Mm-hmm. Hilo was originally owned by the Neil Massey Group, originally by Cannings, and then when we were selling down in Jamaica back in the 1990s, unfortunately Hilo was sold. Mm-hmm. And then in Miami, we have Massey Distribution, I guess USA Limited, and our latest addition, Rose IGA Supermarkets in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, so that's integrated retail.
That's integrated retail.
How many countries they're operating?
Well, how many countries did I just call? Like 7, 5 or 7? I didn't count.
About 7.
About 7.
Okay. So if I'm trying to understand Massy, integrated retail is a big part of what you.
Huge part of the group. It accounts for
40%.
40% of the group's profit, about 50% of the group's revenue. 6,000 of the 12,000 employees that we have in the group are in the integrated retail operation.
Okay, so from an investment and business point of view, the supermarket business, distribution, and general merchandise is
a big
deal. A big deal. All right, cool. So, Vaughn, I guess you explain the gas business.
Yeah, man.
To us in brief.
Yeah, gas products business. It's services that we provide, LPG, and integrated medical services or industrial gases, included medical services. And I said integrated medical services because there's this newish line that we've created during COVID, which is just the medical supplies line, which really grew like a massive big item because of COVID and the need for oxygen. You know, the whole lines, the tanks, everything going towards having oxygen at homes and even at the hospitals, outfitting hospitals became a really big item for us during COVID. But the core business, LPG, cooking gas, we know this very well. In terms of industrial gases, spoke about medical oxygen, oxygen for construction industry as well. CO2, every beverage, fizzy beverage you drink, most of it is Massy gas, CO2. We have a very competitive CO2, good food grade quality in Trinidad and Tobago, and very competitive price based on our downstream chemical companies as a byproduct of their processing facilities. So very strong in CO2. We export over 30 territories in the Caribbean, our CO2. It's a strong business, Caribbean and Central America, Latin America, very strong business. Nitrogen, again, Trinidad has a very vibrant oil and gas economy. So we produce nitrogen that provides purging for oil and gas lines, ensuring that there's no petrochemicals in lines when you have upgrade, startup, shutting down of facilities and kind of projects. You need that to clean the lines. Actually, we're going to do some right in Mobe and in our Freeport terminal, probably between today and tomorrow, in our oxygen plant in Mobe. So that's a very important gas. And then we have the other gases like acetylene, for welding, argon, welding again. Other specialized gases that you need. Some people need hydrogen and stuff like that. So those are the gambit of the business. We operate in 4 territories: Colombia, Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, and Jamaica. Trinidad and Tobago being, I would say, the beachhead, the first business that we had, pure industrial gases business, very strong. Just announced the acquisition of Air Liquide, which will have us get a bit of vertical integration, backward integration into the production arm, and really dominate the oxygen, nitrogen space in the Caribbean. In Guyana, we have both LPG and industrial gases. Very strong business in Guyana, dominant force in both areas. More so in the industrial gases, we have like 99% market share in industrial gases. Just invested in an ASU in Guyana, and that will ensure that
Explain what that is.
ASU, air separation unit, very similar to what we bought in Trinidad.
Yeah.
Uses natural air and strips out all of the other gases to get oxygen, nitrogen, and acetylene, basically. High levels of oxygen, high levels of nitrogen, and actually the unit that we're building and installing actually can toggle between if you want more oxygen or more nitrogen. More oxygen, less nitrogen, more nitrogen, less oxygen, based on demand by the industry. And acetylene is a byproduct as well that we produce as well for welding.
So on that note though, I know you guys are big on being a global force for good, right? So describe to me what it feels like when you're running a gas business that supplies medical oxygen and there's a respiratory pandemic that strikes your home region. Like what was that experience like for you guys? Because I know we had a serious issue in Jamaica, right? In terms of medical grade oxygen. So just walk me through that experience for Massey.
I think it was, yes, two sides of that experience, right? I think let's talk about the human side first. The human side of it was that there's no time to think. And our experience was that our people from all levels, they were just great. They were just proactive, selfless, fully committed, worked ridiculous hours. We weren't working 24 hours at the point in time. So when this happens, you then need to convert to 24 hours. We're supplying, as I said, over 23 countries in the Caribbean, Latin America with oxygen. We even helped in Jamaica. So it was just us moving from producing 100% in one quarter to 300% in the same quarter. And it was transformative, but I think what was the most amazing item was really the ability to release autonomy into people and have them making some tough decisions. Outfitting, it's almost I don't want to say this. I was going to say it's almost like if you're going to war. It's like, you had hospitals that was built in tents.
Yes.
And you have to outfit these hospitals with oxygen, oxygen for many beds and stuff, and it's lines, it's mask, it's all the supplies, and then it's the people actually themselves having to work in hazmat suits because of course we didn't know what COVID was. So just the selflessness, the courage of the people, I think that's the first one. The second one is resilience. About 5 years ago, Gervase, 5 to 6 years ago, Massey took on a new risk model. And one of the key elements of the risk model is finding resilience in the organization, the what ifs. Yeah. And seeing that at work. So the what ifs of Air Liquide was our main supplier of oxygen. But just like 6 months before, we have a company called SIG, Kerry Industrial Gases. It's a joint venture that actually supply oxygen directly to one of our methanol plants. And originally, the plant never provided oxygen. All the wasted oxygen, like additional oxygen, was just vented. And we decided that both for the oxygen and nitrogen, we need to capture it in case there's a need for it, resilience, and even opening our markets. And that's what really helped us out, for us to be able to provide oxygen across the Caribbean and to Trinidad. So that whole idea of resilience, of business continuity, being prepared, I think that was the other big item that stood out for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a point that I know for me personally, you hear, like Massy is big, right? Massy, I think about it as massive Massy, right? 1.8 billion US dollars in top line revenue. That's not anything that, is easy for your typical Jamaican to get perspective on, right? But sometimes big business gets a bad rap, right? And big business this and big business that. I'm always interested to hear how much you guys, beat the drum on being a force for good, right? And some people say that, and you wonder to yourself. But I can say, because this week I've been thinking of myself as a Caribbean citizen. Gervase inspired me. Every time he take the podium, it's the Caribbean heart and the Caribbean is this and that. But looking at our region as a big business, I don't know what we would have done without a Massey being able to compete in Florida for scarce goods, right?
Yes.
Because when in the teeth of the pandemic, I remember people weren't looking on St. Vincent as a priority market, right? But they can look at Massey as one big distributor, and then oxygen, it's literal oxygen, So to me, I thought it was a big deal, and I just want to commend the Massey team and all of you involved for. I think you came through for the Caribbean.
Yeah.
At that time. So that's.
Raul, when the pandemic was coming, we had heard about it in China. We had a sense that it would spread. I was actually going off on vacation for 3 weeks. I was going to South Africa. My son was playing cricket. I was going to watch him play some cricket. And Chairman Robert Bermudez came into my office. We'd had a meeting, and we had this very simple conversation that said, look, if this pandemic comes to our region, we as a force for good must be first in protecting our employees and our customers. And as I left, I just conveyed that message to the chairman. Literally, right? It was like, people must walk into a Massey store and feel safe. Like they must say, but boy, I could shop here. I smell in the disinfectant, right? Kind of thing. And the work we had done as a team to be values-based, to be purpose-based, was more than sufficient. Because with that, just nod, like pay attention to this. What happened when the pandemic started to arrive in the region is our businesses became ready first. We were the first to adopt hand sanitizer, start to disinfect everything in our stores. We were the first to be prepared with, getting ready to have oxygen for people We were the first to have oodles of hand sanitizer and other materials for distribution to other places. We'd always been investing in diversification of our sources of food. We keep high inventories in the region, for like 6 months of inventories on average. So when you start to have people rushing to supermarkets to buy up food and things because you have to be on lockdown, we had supply across the entire region. And I think that's part of the values based, and then part of what Vaughn was saying about this devolving autonomy into the organization, so the decisions could be made based on principles and values, not in some central tower say, okay, we all have to do this and we all have to do that and let's coordinate this, because there's just no time to react. We had to rely on the values, the purpose-driven nature of the organization to respond, and it did.
Yes, and there's a lot there, but before, we got a little sidetrack. I want to just finish out the third portfolio. So just explain motors and machines to me. You guys selling cars across the region. You're selling tractors. What you said?
So motors and machines is the origins of the Neil and Massey group. Harry Neil and Charles Massey came together to create Neil and Massey. Harry Neil was the Vauxhall dealer in Trinidad, and Charles Massey was into industrial equipment. He went out very early and secured the Caterpillar dealership for Trinidad and Tobago. We have been Caterpillar dealers for 95 years.
Wow.
In Caterpillar, I think we are the longest serving Caterpillar franchise in Caterpillar, right? And so motors and machines are about cars. We at one point in time were assembling cars in Trinidad and Guyana. We went through the whole full gamut, but it's about motor vehicles, industrial equipment like tractors and earth moving equipment, the services associated with that, maintenance, rentals, etc. That's what motors and machines is. And we have a great business in Trinidad, a growing business in Guyana. Now we've got one of the top multi-brand dealerships in Colombia, in the cities of Cali, Bogota, Medellin, Santa Marta, and Barranquilla, and car rentals. We are the national enterprise car rental agents in 14 territories across Caribbean and Latin America. We've got a distribution hub for Shell lubricants across, I think it's similar, 12 or 14 territories in Caribbean and Latin America. We have a big distribution center in Miami. We've just become the official Nissan dealers in 7 countries throughout the Caribbean, with the potential to be the master dealer for others. So the roots and history of the Massey Group are in the motors and machines portfolio.
Okay. And that's what, about 25% of the...
About 20% of the profit of the business.
Profit, okay. And revenue, okay, all right. So if I'm an investor looking at Massey, then what, in terms of focusing on these 3 portfolios, you're operating supermarkets and moving merchandise, you're selling cooking gas and industrial gases, and you're selling cars, tractors, industrial machinery, servicing them and renting the cars as well. Is that where my focus needs to be?
Yes.
If I'm investing. Okay, so that's how I understand business. Now, operationally, both you and Vaughn, you and Gervase mentioned something that I don't know if I can turn to Wendy and get a broader understanding of the whole idea of a governance structure that devolves autonomy. So explain how that is.
Yeah, in about 2018, 2019, we thought about strengthening the portfolios, giving them more autonomy, empowerment. So we really wanted to strengthen our subsidiary governance to make these portfolios more agile. The decision making would be quicker. It would be the people who were closest to the business would be able to make the decisions. So we did a few things. We injected independent directors into what we call parent portfolio boards. We set up audit and risk committees. and the thresholds for the delegation of authority to the parent board was changed, so that these portfolios are now running pretty much autonomously. And that was actually set up just before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, these guys were able to move with speed, and actually we got the best results we ever got at that point in time, with the autonomy and the empowerment of the portfolios. It's a huge deal, and it's something that we've continued to devolve.
Yes.
Autonomy and empowerment to individuals. Corporate governance is, in fact, you can have all of the systems, which we do have, you can have the policies, but good governance is effective leadership. Effective leadership is about empowerment of people, and it comes back to people.
So you've devolved all this power. It makes you a more agile and efficient organization, you find?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you leave for Gervase to do?
Yeah, but no, this is a very good question. I'm laughing, but this is a very serious question. I'm glad you asked this question.
That's why I'm here.
Ron, I was disturbed.
Oh wow.
No, I was concerned, right? Because most of what I was doing at Massey was I had an executive team, we had a committee, and we used to do things together, and I was part of a decision-making chain. And by the way, the boards that she just talked about, I'm not on any of them.
Oh wow. Wow.
I don't even sit on the portfolio boards.
Oh wow.
I thought, well, at least I should be the chairman. Those guys said they don't want me. I would overshadow them or something of the sort. They want to feel really empowered. So I really I had some time of reflection as to, well, boy, where's your job? What are you gonna do? And I was saying last night in here, you really don't know what the cost of distractions are until you're focused. And I was distracted by his business and somebody else's business, and now I could focus on the future of the group. I could focus on what you were asking, what's this global force for good about? I could focus on people and our culture and what we could do to strengthen that. I could focus on how we're raising capital to fuel the growth that we have in front of us. And so I found a few things to focus on. But I have to tell you that why this is an important question is that each and every one of us as leaders had a similar form of confrontation and revelation. So he would have had the same experience, because we now expect him to devolve more decision making to the CEOs of the companies that are in the gas products group and so forth and so on. And so if I couldn't hold it, if I kept tacking back and not really giving Vaughn and David and now Mark and David Afonso that room, David Afonso and David O'Brien, they took the room. to be fair. Then you couldn't expect them to create the room for their CEOs and the CEOs to create the room for their AVPs, etc., etc. And so that freedom of giving up what you hold on to, control. That's why I said this is not easy. It's personal because we grew up in a command and control world. You see, Barita, you all came and you bought this company, and you all were some young people, and you have a zesty, nice kind of culture. But we were 90-something years of top-down from the colonial past leadership. Do as I say. And some people like that, so but I just did what you said. I'm not responsible. And then, other people figure, well, I climb the corporate ladder. I get to the top. Now it's my turn to, give orders and buff people. So it takes something personally for each of us to let go that, it's like a tight fist on control and really trust others. And that's what we have now.
Okay, sounds good. So it's a deep appreciation for what you said, because at 100 years old, Massey is older than Jamaica. So
all of our independent and republic countries were older than it's pre-independence.
So you guys were founded in the teeth of the old command and control colonial structure. So kudos to you for changing the management ethos, right? That's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it paid dividend in the pandemic, right? With those business results. So, all right. So talking about the business. So, correct me if I get anything wrong, but the IR portfolio, the integrated retail, so it's from memory like 61% of revenue, 44% of pre-tax profits. Motors and machines, 25% of revenue, 20% of pre-tax profits. Gas products, 13% of revenue.
17, 18.
26% of pre-tax profits.
Yeah, 25 to 26.
That's why I have you, right? Because we have to talk some more about the gas business, right? Because I mean, those numbers would imply that from a profit margin perspective, it's significantly more profitable than its peers. I don't know if you have portfolio jealousy or portfolio envy, but why is gas so profitable? And what has kind of brought you to where you are?
Yeah, man. So perfect segue. I would say that in the gas products portfolio, we have a saying that we don't look at revenue.
Okay.
We look at margins and profit because revenue can be distracting. Our business is a high-risk business. That's the first thing that is very important, but it's also very capital intensive. So that if you marry the two, high risk, a lot of HSSE respect you have to pay to this business. It's very dangerous gases. They need to stay in the pipes, in the vessels, in the tanks.
Sorry, you said HSSE.
Health, safety,
and security.
Health, safety, security, and environment.
Gotcha.
And so it's high risk. It's explosives. LPGs is a gas that lights. We all have LPG experience, LPG at our homes.
Medical grade oxygen is quite flammable itself.
Of course, exactly. It's 99% oxygen, purity of oxygen. So, it's really dangerous gases. So they must stay in the pipes, as I said, must stay in the tanks, must stay on the trailers.
Sorry, for perspective, the 99 compares to what, 20% in the atmosphere?
Yeah, it's somewhere around there, 17, 20%.
So
significantly, based on the purity of your atmosphere.
Gotcha.
So it's significantly more flammable. So that's one. Capital intensive. So think about us just taking natural air, as you said, 20% oxygen, and you get to 99% purity. It's a lot of technology, it's a lot of IP. So it's a really unique business that you need a level of professionalism to manage, a lot of respect for the products that you manage, a lot of training. And it's not something that, and it's also in most spaces very regulated because of the high risk nature. So that in itself offers a bit of a margin in the business, but you got to do it right and you got to do it at scale. Hence a segue into our Jamaica business, which I didn't get to speak to.
Yes,
Massy Gas Products Jamaica, the Gaspro brand. Very strong business we have here in Jamaica, strictly LPG. We ventured into oxygen during the pandemic and not really to support Jamaica. We were called on to support. We liaised with Trinidad and got some ISOs over with oxygen and supported Jamaica, and we actually saw an opportunity for us to segue into that oxygen market on the mobile end.
Sorry, you said ISOs.
ISOs is a tanker that actually stores the oxygen in liquid form. So we were able to bring it from Trinidad, produced in Trinidad, and sail it to Jamaica.
Okay, so it's like the oxygen version.
It's an
of
isometric
LNG.
container, so you could put high pressure gas into it and ship it.
Okay,
So
it makes
it's like
it
a tank.
exportable.
Exactly. Yeah. So really gave us that opportunity to step into the space. We're pretty small in the space, but we thought that we could have serviced the mobile area, some of the customers there that weren't being serviced. But then we had another opportunity. We announced signing the SPA with IGL. We all know Blue Gas. Fantastic business, very strong in the pack or the home cylinder side of the business, a fantastic brand. They've also invested heavily in industrial gases equipment and machinery. They have an ASU, air separation unit, as we spoke about, producing oxygen. Really, that unit, along with a unit that produces pure gaseous oxygen, really meets the non-peak demand for Jamaica now. So, and then we have a CO2 plant in IGL as well, in the Ferry facility. That's a very good CO2 plant that could meet the demand for CO2 in Jamaica. So we see a lot of synergy in that business, and we think that having, as I said earlier, concentration, having a big, well-run business to service the people of Jamaica, better LPG service, more reliability, better value, get into the market a lot faster. We think that we could provide a really great service to the people of Jamaica and reliable service. And of course, tighten our hold on the oxygen market where we could put some resilience. We have a plant in Trinidad, a plant in Guyana that we're building, and a plant in Jamaica. If there's need, we could always share with each other to have that resilience across the territory.
Okay. So I want to sit with the Jamaican gas business for a minute, right? Because so we just laid out how gas is materially more profitable within the group, right? So as we stand here, Jamaica, it's a single-digit percentage of the
somewhere around 6-7%.
Okay, so that's where we are today. But you guys have a signed sales agreement in terms of the acquisition of IGL Blue, right?
Yes.
So that's a $140 million transaction, USD?
Yes.
Thereabout. All right. So what are you anticipating in terms of moving the needle? So Jamaica is sitting at 6% right now. Assuming regulatory approval of that deal, what do you expect this time next year to be talking about in terms of Jamaica's share within the group?
Yeah, within the portfolio, I would say Jamaica.
Be careful, this is a trick question.
I know. Jamaica will become one of our largest businesses in the portfolio.
Really?
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
Jamaica becomes
so I would say in the top 3 in the portfolio.
In the gas products portfolio.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you think about it, as we continue to pay down on debt and really bring the businesses together, this will not happen in a day. It takes time to really, because it's a fantastic business. It's 2 great businesses. You can't just bring them together. You need to be responsible with that and how we integrate the 2 businesses. And as we continue to do that, I think Jamaica will be number 1 at some point in time in the portfolio. It's just like, it's a fantastic place to be. Just think about, Trinidad, we have 1.3 million people, but we have oil and gas, and we're only in industrial gases, right? Guyana is 700, 800,000 people. Yeah. They are number 1 right now. In portfolio, in profitability in the portfolio. They are number 1.
Gas portfolio?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and growing.
And growing.
I'm sure.
And it's industrial gases and LPG. And Jamaica will be in a very similar position with both industrial gases, strong business in Jamaica and a strong LPG business in Jamaica. So, sky's the limit.
Sounds good. I hear Gervase talking about trick question. I mean, I may or may not have reverse engineered the deal.
I know you're too smart. The man know all the statistics by heart. You tell him that percentage, he say, right. So this is how much profit the IGL is. Yeah, all right.
So I warned the team before. that Roll has all the answers. He does his research and asks you very difficult questions.
Yeah.
So I'm prepared this time around.
No man. So listen, we're talking Massy, and we're trying to frame our outlook, right? So basically, what you just said, you said you feel good about the purchase. You feel even better about Jamaica in the portfolio, right? So this is good news.
Very good news.
This is big news. The most profitable portfolio has acquired a business at scale, and that is material, and it has the executive chairman feeling positive about Jamaica's future.
Hasn't yet acquired it.
Okay. So again, like I said before, you have a signed agreement.
I woke up early this morning to prepare for you.
Subject to
But I like
regulatory.
the positivity.
Yeah.
Put it out in the
Put it
universe.
on the universe.
Yeah,
You believe in that?
But it's a podcast. I don't want people to be
No, absolutely.
that
So,
it's done.
like I said before, this is subject to regulatory approval.
Of course.
Right? You have one regulator that needs to sign up.
Yes,
Jamaican
Jamaican
FTC.
FTC.
Okay, all right. So we're hoping that closes and comes through, right? So assuming that things are looking good, right, for the GPP. So if continuing to look kind of frame Massy's future, right? You mentioned Guyana growing like a stock, right? I think the 20% GDP growth was followed on by 40, 47, or some huge.
One person said 57 and then the president said 61.
Yeah, so I think they were talking about forecasts, right? Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. When I was there, I got a sense of what that looks like on the ground, right? First of all, you can get nowhere. Peak hour traffic is dead stop, right? Just so many trucks, so much aggregate. But you guys were in Guyana before it was fashionable, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so talk about your heritage in Guyana and talk about the growth prospects as you see them there, right?
What was it?
Okay, trick question.
No. That's a straight one. We've been in Guyana for over 50 years. All three portfolios have established strong, dominant businesses in the integrated retail portfolio. We recently started supermarkets within the last 6 years. But it's a highly fragmented market. So to be number one in supermarkets in Guyana is not necessarily the biggest of supermarkets. It's that formal supermarket industry is emerging in Guyana right now. But
I should tell you about the supermarket. Just a sidebar. I was there. I have maybe an unhealthy affection for certain kinds of peanuts, right? So I'm in Guyana, walking the streets.
which kind of peanuts is it?
It's they didn't cut us a check, so I can't say the brand name.
Dry
But
roasted?
It's honey roasted, right? So
I love peanuts too myself. That's why I asked.
So I'm literally walking the streets of Guyana, saying, "Where can I find my peanuts?" I'm in the Caribbean still, right? So they're manufactured in Trinidad, right?
Yeah,
So I look around, I see a Massy. I see a
man.
Massy store. I say,
Must.
I'm sure. I got there. Sure enough, asked for my peanuts. They just directed me to the aisle. I got there, took a picture, sent it to my wife. I was very happy. So, as a Caribbean player, you guys reliable like that. Please continue.
So integrated retail well established. Vaughn just talked about the gas business, extremely well established, and the motors and machines, that's what we started with, right? So what being in Guyana for 50 years, you've been through the works in Guyana, the Forbes Burnham, the, flirting with communism, the changes of government, hard, difficult days. And the amazing thing is that our Guyana organization has always performed well. Even when it was hard, they knew how to kind of cut things back so that they would continue to be able to be operating and eke out a little profit. Since I joined Massey in 2004, the Guyana group of companies have grown at 10% a year or better every year. Reliable. Set your watch date. Absolutely. And that isn't because they've had the best and fastest growing economy. It's because those guys could run good businesses.
So you're confident in your Guyana
Oh
team.
man, so our growth, the largest growth in the group is happening in Guyana. Because as the Guyana economy expands, people want more food, fancier food. They want better cars. They want new cars. It was a used car market, so the new car market is exploding. They're consuming more gas. People in the country stop burning wood and taking on, cooking gas. So yeah, we're following Guyana's growth and tracking very well with it.
So quantify that for me. I mean, we spoke about Jamaica being about 6% last year. What's the Guyana share?
So Guyana has moved from, I would say, in like 2013 being 11% of the profit of the group to this year being like 20% of the profit of the 20% of the group. Guyana has overtaken Barbados in terms of the share of profit that the group generates. Still, Trinidad is number one, but that is coming down, and that's strategic, right? We don't want to be Trinidad centric. We want to have more of the group's profit and revenues being won in other countries as well. But Guyana has overtaken Barbados.
And as a group CEO, you felt like you could bank on double-digit growth from the Guyana team pre-boom, long before.
Absolutely.
So imagine
no.
You could see right?
Yeah.
All right. So things looking good.
That's what I want to tell you, investors.
You must be talking about it. I don't trouble. I haven't made it too hard, right? So all right. So we just described Jamaica, the big gas deal, right? We described Guyana. Now, another area that's fascinating to me, for a couple of reasons. Like our stock exchange chairman mentioned earlier this week at the conference that our region is not really an English-speaking region. I think he said English was like the third most spoken language in the region.
Spanish, so then French.
You look at a Massy, right? Again, $1.8 billion US in top line, huge company. There are not a lot of businesses that the Caribbean region or traditional English-speaking Caribbean can maintain at that level. So you start to think you're probably approaching saturation, right? But then you make a move from your English Caribbean roots and boom, you're in Colombia, right? So for me, just as an outside observer, I'm saying, boy, Jamaica, 2.8 million people. I look at Colombia, it's 51 million people. I think if I might be wrong, but if you take all the populations of all the English-speaking Caribbean, I don't think we get there.
No, we're close.
Yeah, I don't think we're close. So just looking at that alone, I feel like that's a big addressable market that there's a big growth prospect there. So talk to us about what you're doing in Colombia, how you see that market, and how you feel about it.
So I guess I should talk about.
I do.
Go.
So in Colombia, we first business that actually formed the beachhead in Colombia was our motors business, and David was with us here. David O'Brien, our executive VP of international growth, and really, that business is now like one of the top multi-brand dealerships in Colombia, operating in Bogota, Cali, Barranquilla, Medellin, and just fabulous, absolutely amazing business. We have fantastic brands, Mazda, Mercedes, Renault, I think we have Volvo. So just the top brands, building relationships, being recognized as a world-class car dealership in this space. Fantastic showrooms, world-class showrooms. I actually visited the Medellin office, and I passed on the main road where my hotel was, and I drove past like 3 dealerships, and our Medellin dealership was in the back street. It's the number 1 selling Mazda dealership in all of Colombia. The service is amazing.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. It's a top 1% Volvo dealership for Volvo in terms of service, in terms of the total Volvo service. If you wish to get your car service, they call you, the serviceman calls you, he has a conversation with you, what's wrong with your car, you bring your car, he takes your car, they drop you to wherever you wish to go. After, he fixes your entire car. He calls you back. Serviceman calls you back. This is what he found, this is what he's done, this is what he's doing. This is the time you can collect your car. One day. Nothing else. All the parts is ready. Everything is ready before you arrive. It's just amazing, the culture of the people. Just amazing. So I think that gives us confidence, right? We could do it in motors. Around 2016, Jeff? Yeah. We had a partner in Trinidad, Wood Group. So we have a company called Massy Wood Group in Trinidad. And we worked with a lot of the Colombians in Trinidad. And Wood Group decided they wanted to come out of the energy services in Colombia. And Massey, with our very ambitious self, thought, well, we could buy that business. That looks like a good business for us. And we ventured to Colombia and we actually bought that business, led by Gervase, of course. Quite about 1,500 employees, a fantastic business, a lot of young, bright, intelligent people, just unlimited.
Technical, strong, great safety culture. Beautiful company.
Just unlimited leadership, you saw. We've taken that business, we've transformed it a bit. And, when we made the decision to go to portfolio models, one of the decisions we made is we need to go into the LPG business in Colombia. Again, led by Gervase, back in the days when he was the boss. of all businesses.
Long live those days.
We decided, what? Our future is gas products. We need to get into the LPG business in Colombia. We tried CO2. The biggest opening was LPG. Since then, we've acquired 3 LPG businesses in what we call the BBC area. Boyacá, Bogota, and I can never remember something like Cusimaca or something like that. It's a very difficult name. But it's like the greater Bogota area.
Okay.
Bogota is a province. And currently we're at 1%. We bought businesses in like 2 years ago now. So think about us being 1% in Colombia and what's available to us. Serving 1% of the Bogota region. And what's available to us. So that keeps us very excited and ambitious in Colombia. As we said, we just had our Jamaica acquisition or Trinidad acquisition. All I say is Colombia is coming soon.
Okay. So, that is exciting news. So by the numbers, what's Colombia in terms of share of business, share of revenue?
Yeah, overall in the group, Colombia is around 6% of our profits.
6?
Yeah.
Okay. And the growth rate down there?
I would say we've in the motors and machines, it's been
like 25%.
25% growth, in the industrial gases business, we've moved like 7%, 10%. Next year, I think that between now and next year and a half, 18 months, we'll be making some big moves.
All right, cool. So, we just overviewed the business. We overview the outlook and the growth prospects, right? So, I have some questions. And just stay with me. You guys have global ambitions, right? And given everything we just spoke about, you are confident that you can operate supermarkets, that you can run an LPG business, industrial gases business, and you can sell cars, machines, and service them anywhere in the world, correct?
Anywhere in the world.
Okay. Yeah. So you're confident in the platform that you have. So we come now to you guys cross-listed in Jamaica, right? And speaking about the Jamaican stock market experience. Now, while I was thinking about the structure of the organization, I'm trying to figure out what Gervase does now, right? And so I got to him and I said, Gervase, it's capital allocation, isn't it? And he said, absolutely, right? So we talking about capital allocation, right? I glanced at the numbers today that were published. Now, depending on whether you use the net profit figure or comprehensive net profit, Massey's valuation in Jamaica, at least on the Jamaican stock market, it's hanging around 7.9, 9.5 times earnings in terms of the PE, depending on which number you use, right? But regardless of what number you use, I think just based on just experiencing business and whatnot. I mean, a good solid business, fair value, 15, 16, right? You look at your peer group, look at what your peers trade at, it's up at 18, right? But so if I'm allocating capital, I have an investment holding company, and I'm looking at my options, I don't know. If the stock is languishing, 8, 9 because of selling pressure, I mean, it's commonplace. When I think about, in my book, great capital allocators, right? Your Henry Singletons and your Warren Buffetts, they would buy their stock all day. Right?
Absolutely.
It's all day, every day. I mean,
absolutely.
You the shareholders that elect to stay with you on the Guyana, Jamaica, Colombia journey, the remaining shareholders will be able to realize significant value. And I mean, if you have selling pressure, you can satisfy that. But if I'm looking at all of the options compared to acquiring a new business at fair value, if stock market giving you a bargain, why not take it?
It's a very good question, Rob. I think I know where you're going, right? And I want to let Wendy speak about this because what is it, in 2023, so it would be around 2015. We went out for, I think it was 2014. Things were still good in Trinidad. And I mean by that the foreign exchange situation. And we raised a 2 billion TT dollar bond. So it's in excess of $200 million US. And the intention was this was going to be the ammunition for us to go on a regional expansion. Well, that didn't quite work out because oil prices and gas prices dropped. Gas production in Trinidad also reduced. Suddenly we found ourselves from a country accustomed to huge balance of payments surpluses, running deficits. We started to find in our trading businesses difficulty accessing foreign exchange just to buy cars and groceries and stuff like that. Far less to take TT dollars to buy US dollars to make investments outside of Trinidad and Tobago. So we are awash. We have our 1.8 billion still left on our balance sheet of cash from this bond that has a carry rate. So for why we had a negative carry, now we have a better treasury. We're trying to do something about that. Then we say, well, okay, well, all right, we can't get foreign exchange to expand with. Let's buy Massy shares. Best thing we could do with this cash is to buy back some shares. Wendy, explain to him why we can't buy back shares.
We have some very archaic
in Trinidad
regulations that make absolutely no sense. So for example, if you were on the London Stock Exchange, you can buy back about 5 to 10% of your shares without any sort of regulatory approvals or requirements, because it's to the benefit of the shareholder and the investor. In Trinidad and Tobago, you have to get pre-approvals, and the way that you're allowed to buy back shares is it's a systematic daily allowance that you're allowed to buy back over a period of time. It never works out. I
very
think
small lots.
Very small lots, yeah. So you are not ever able to really buy back your shares. We've been lobbying for a long time to change the share purchase guidelines, the repurchase guidelines, but hopefully they might do that this year. They've said they're going to take a look at it, but I mean, really archaic stuff that doesn't make sense for the investing public.
We really actually can't find anybody who's opposed to the idea, but it still can't. It still has not been done yet.
In the ether, it's just
yeah. But it's one of those great frustrations, and that's why one of the reasons we're here on the Jamaica Stock Exchange is, we want to be in a vibrant capital market that makes sense. That's why we're strong promoters of a common or integrated stock exchange in the Caribbean, because we have these pockets of capital and it was not that much in the grand scheme of things. Let's put them together. Let's iron out and harmonize regulation so that we could get capital flowing a lot easier. We could get, these anomalies exist because of the imperfections and inefficiencies in our systems.
Okay, I hear that. I'd say one thing.
Counsel,
right?
Yeah, ideas. We're looking for ideas.
Vaughn, in focusing the business down to your 3 portfolios, you sold a lot of stuff, right? And I mean, didn't you collect like well over $100 million outside of the strictures of your home country?
Sure. Let's talk about that. So yeah, we had a fantastic divestment program. We collected somewhere around 271 million equivalent US dollars, of which we've invested 175 million US dollars as the hard currency that we have in hand, invested in the different markets. We're using that right now in the war chest. We just announced approximately 250 million US dollars of acquisitions. So we'll be tapping into that source. The intention is for us to balance that. So that, and actually I think it's fantastic that we were able to take strategy from 3 years ago that we're going into portfolios, execute on a divestment strategy, and then utilize that to invest in the portfolios. And one of the powerful things that I always look at my P&L is that you haven't seen a dip in our performance because we are sold off some profitable businesses, and the bet on the portfolios have really paid off with double-digit growth over the last 4 years. I think I'll step back as you talk about just debt and finance. Back to our vision, a global force for good, an investment holding company with a Caribbean heart. And I think the part that you spoke to is our global ambition, and that's where Massy Finance comes in. Massy Finance GFC, our lending business, Massy Finance remittances, we see them as our catalyst for growth. The arm of our business that manages all of our treasury, manages our challenges in Trinidad for getting US dollars, manages our debt financing, our relationships with all our bankers and institutional investors, critical to our growth. Of course, that will become an important part of how we grow. No one wants to grow on equity. Equity is the most expensive form of funding. So we expect to go to the market, at some point in time with a strategy both on the equity side and on the debt side, as it's both important to our growth strategy. So that's amazing. So we're more or less have depleted that war chest.
No, it's not depleted.
We still have $50 million
or so.
$50 million or so, but we will. But if I'm looking for a $200 million deal, that's kind of what I look at,
Wow.
So the $50 million would really help me.
Don't tell him.
That's why the parent is the allocator of the capital.
I mean, I just, the sale agreement in Jamaica that puts you on the hook for 140.
47 for the supermarkets, 57. That's Jackson. 57 for the other plant he buying.
In Trinidad.
197 million he using.
When you see money, you gotta use it. Yeah.
But I don't know, Vaughn. All I know, I think Massey might be very competitive value. Just say it.
Absolutely.
Just say it.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Compared to,
I
know you like big deals, right? But it's a lot of bang for that.
Well, you're making an extremely good point, right? Because you look at where we're trading, even in Trinidad, and I understand that we were told yesterday that we should not feel bad, and that we're definitely not special. Other people in the equity markets have had challenges too, but so you could just look at the pipeline of what's coming. That's not reflected in the earnings numbers that you're seeing. You can look at where the price is right now, and a blind man could see what's coming, right? So, but it's wonderful. It's a great time, I think, to buy. I've been buying. We all been buying personally, through our ESOP program, etc. And we're not obsessed about our share price. We'd like it to be higher, but we're not obsessed about it. You know, we're obsessed about the businesses we're in, the strategy we're executing, how we're working with people, how we're loving our people, and what that creates in terms of the way that they are empowered to participate in the business, the way that they can show up at work fulfilling upon, you know, their own purpose in life. That then gets them excited and you know, we're interested in their ideas and their contributions to strategy and efficiency, and that makes us a more profitable business. We can share that with them, share some of that abundance with them, so they can start feeling like, okay, I could actually build some wealth for my family here, take care of the people around me. And when we focus on that, that produces more profit. When you produce more profit, eventually the share price will catch up with it, you know, and we pay healthy dividends. You know, I'm not worried.
All right.
We do know our part.
We are focusing on the things we need to focus on.
Yeah, control what you can control.
It's always
right?
values-based results, right?
Yes.
It's not just about results. It's not just about the bottom line. It's about how we do what we do, how we care for our people.
Very important.
Yeah. It's just as important as what we do.
Yeah,
For sure.
Okay. All right, guys. It sounds good. Sounds like Massy's best days are ahead of it, right?
Sure.
Even after
Thank you.
100 years.
Yes,
right?
the next 100 is coming through hard.
That is impressive. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And, you know, I wish Massy all the best.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You've just listened to an episode of the Barita podcast. The Barita podcast is available on all Barita's social media platforms. If you'd like to invest with Barita Investments Limited, visit our website at barita.com or contact us at 876-926-2681 to get started.